Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's episode, I'm going to take you behind the scenes of my food shoot. It's a full day food shoot. Hang on one second, phone is ringing. Hello. Hi. I'll send you a pin drop. The thing about this location is if you're using Waze, it takes you in one direction where there's no entry here. And if you're using Google Maps, it will take you to the right place. So which one are you using? For this shoot, I did a lot of planning because we traveled an hour to get here. There's a lot of food involved, which takes a lot of preparation. So a lot of people put a lot of effort into making all of the food that we will be photographing. And that also takes into account cost, which is always a factor. And then we're looking at the weather. So we're thinking about time. In addition to that, of course, we've rented a location, which again is part of the budget, but it's another cost that we keep in mind when doing these things. And the reason I do keep mentioning cost is because when I first started photography and I was on the set, apart from the production side of things, I didn't understand the business of photography and the things that went behind it. But basically, we're always really talking about effort, time, and money that has been put into what's happening here, which is why I did some extra planning. Let me show you. This is a list of items that we're photographing. There's 70 items in there. Oh my gosh, this is one whole truck of all this food. Wow. This is going to help us flow really well. One thing did happen last night, which is we discovered that it was going to rain today. We were originally going to start shooting at 9, but I had to move the time earlier by 2 hours because according to the weather schedule for the day, it's going to be fine and not raining until about noon time. So we're still under some time pressure, but we've just shifted everything, which means for the people preparing the food, they had to get up at 2 in the morning to finish the food prep. Food hasn't arrived just yet, but I will start doing the styling. So we have got the equipment in a tractor because we are shooting on a very big acreage and we've got a lot of equipment, and food is a very sensitive thing to photograph because it is time sensitive. It starts to look not fresh if it's been out for a while. When I arrived at the venue, I had a small chat with the venue owner, reconfirming the flow and agenda for the day. I had shot here before, but I had to reassess some areas considering the last minute weather changes. I wanted to see whether my first choice for the picnic setup was going to be okay still, considering possible rains. This is the equipment that we've got so far. Bottle of water. Sometimes I bring snacks, but this is a catering shoot today, so there's going to be plenty of food. Really wanted to get some of this in the background, so I'm going to set up where the geese are. Although, one thing to take into consideration, there's a lot of geese poo. Is that going to matter? Not so much. Yeah, and we've moved positions just because this is a better backdrop. So now let's build. The equipment has escalated, but that's not including the food yet. Upon reassessing the amount of equipment and food that we were shooting, I decided that we had to move to an area close to undercover protection. So we moved our setup from the open area near the pond to a courtyard next to the pool, which is right behind me. The pool would be a great addition to the backdrop, and also we're right next to undercover protection, which means that we can move our equipment quickly in case it starts raining. You can't really see it in this footage, but I'll show you shortly. Once I get an idea of how the setup will look, I take a few test shots to see that the setup fits within my frame. Notice that the covers are left on the food boxes. This is done on purpose to keep the food untouched until we're ready to shoot.
Because when you do the individual ones,
yeah,
how are you gonna know which ones? So now it's just group ones, and we're just gonna tick which ones are in the group.
What's in the group? Yeah, just do like a little red mark.
Yeah.
Or maybe, you know what? Write G next to it. G. Let's do this. Okay, now let me organize the lighting. Now let me tell you about the original plan versus the new plan. The original plan was that we were going to set up 2 picnic looks and a mini station for individual food items. The stations were going to be set up first before we laid out the food. But now our space has become smaller because we have to work around the possibility of rain. So now we plan to build one picnic setup at a time. We photograph the food as a group, and instead of moving the food to a mini styled section, I am photographing individual shots of the food while they still sit in the picnic setting. Okay. Oh, we have more. Okay. We will shoot this one first, yes. And then what I'm going to do, the plan is because food is perishable is I'll shoot this and then we're going to remove some things, swap them with the other food that's over there, and then we're going to tick it off the list as we go to make sure we don't forget anything. We've kept everything under the shade because food is much better in the shade. It's actually, that's the best we can do here. This is one of the key reasons why we moved our setting, because the food that you see on the picnic table is only half of the food that we need to shoot. So this is the other half which is yet to be photographed as a group and individually. Rearranging our workflow ensures that we actually get to complete shooting the items on the shot list, and then if we have any extra time at the end of this, I'll make a mini styled station to shoot extra shots of the individual food items. That means the client's going to get a different look for each individual menu item, provided we actually have time to shoot it. So when I'm shooting, I look about like the distance between the boxes to make sure that when I'm shooting it's symmetrical. So when I'm doing the individual shots, I have to like move this a little bit. We move everything little bit by little bit just to get that effect. As I shoot, I ensure that we are ticking off the items which have already been shot in a group and individually. This checklist saves me from doubling up and makes sure that we don't miss anything. I designed this sheet to look exactly like a checklist so that it's easy to manage, read the items and tick them off.
A few moments later.
I know, this was so lucky. So the rain has come and we're packing up a little bit. Time check is 11:44, so it hasn't made it to noon. And then the plan is once it's gone, we're going to bring everything back out again. Okay, setup number 3. It's not really a setup number 3, we're just reshooting some things that they need for their website, and I'm doing a time check. It's 12:18. The rain has stopped. It might come back. So I'm going to do some styling here. And we're going to get through it. It is now 1:01. The sun is completely out. I've just finished shooting all of the essentials. When I was building the run sheet for this, I asked the clients like, what is the top priority given we have a full day and we have all of the food. Their priority was to refresh the website, get some consistency with their imagery, get some group shots. What I've done, I've gone, is there anything that's breakfast, lunch, sweets, boxes, grazing boxes, and we've categorized them and then I've grouped them together. So the first set was a creative picnic style to give people an idea of what it will look like when they have food catered for a picnic. This company actually provides picnic setup services or picnic styling. While we did that creative shoot, I did photograph some of the menu items individually because that was another priority. And because of the weather, I thought, okay, what's the workaround around this? So instead of having each and every single item styled, photographed individually in its own setting, which takes about 5 times more time than doing one big setting and photographing individually, that's what we did so that we could be sure that we photographed the things that were necessary. Now I've photographed pretty much everything as a group category and in a picnic style. Ideally, we're going to shoot by the pool just because we want to create that kind of like wow factor, but I'm going to wait till the wetness sort of goes away. Now that I've shot all of the main images, I'm going to do the individual styling of some of the food items that need to be photographed individually in a styled way. Once that's done, I can take the food that has been styled downstairs to the pool area and create a different look. So instead of the food being presented in boxes, they will be presented on plates. It will just create a whole different look. That's the plan. It is now 1 p.m. We're running on time. I better get started. Oh, I'll tell you a little trick as well. All of the food was presented in boxes, and what we've done is for any moment that we're not shooting and we're only styling, we're covering the boxes with their original covers. These are the covers. I'm just trying to keep the food as fresh as possible, and we've refrigerated. We were so lucky that our hosts had some refrigerator space and they've just been super helpful, which is something that not all venue providers have to do really. So we've been super lucky because we've been able to be more agile, more mobile, and pop some things in the fridge. Now, while I was in the middle of shooting menu items individually, we noticed that the grounds had become dry, so there were no more puddles on the ground. But at the same time, we noticed that the sky started turning grey again, and it looked as though rain clouds were pretty close. So instead of missing the opportunity of shooting by the pool altogether, we decided to bring some food down. So some of the food did end up being plated and some of it stayed in the box, which was totally fine because this catering company does present their food in a few different ways, sometimes in boxes, sometimes in grazing tables. And so these shots ended up being a meld of the different services that they do provide. As soon as I started shooting, we could hear thunder and saw some lightning, so we knew that rain was very, very close by. So we shot as fast as we could. We brought the food down as fast as we could, and as soon as it started drizzling, which then turned into heavy rains, we ran the food right back up, and then I resumed shooting the individual menu items. Now, what we probably aren't being able to portray in this footage is how important agility is when it comes to styling and shooting. You can see that there's 3 of us here and a lot of food, although the quantity of food doesn't really look very overwhelming. In saying that, if you can imagine what it's like to go into a kitchen, take 2 plates, take it out, place it down into a place where it looks nice, and then working under weather conditions, it's really all about keeping calm, being able to be fluid around the planning that you have created, and just sticking with it. This can be a little bit of a stressful situation, I think, especially if you are the photographer and the creative director, because it's your role to kind of bring the energy, to direct the look, to direct the team, and then at the same time to take the shots. But as long as you can kind of keep your cool, you'll start to see that your energy impacts the energy of everybody else around you. So if you are frazzled and feeling chaotic inside, that will impact the team. So when I'm in this kind of role, I make a specific decision to keep my calm and then do my best and try to communicate as clearly to the team as possible. We were so lucky to have such a great team on this. There was really a lot of running around. I mean, if you can see, I'm hopping up that ledge, hopping down that ledge, and then going down to the floor, and doing that for about 7 to 8 hours through this day has really given us quite a workout. And I love this kind of thing. I guess one of the reasons I make this video is because when I first started out and I was assisting on large productions where I was lifting lights, unpacking them, then repacking them, and then moving them, I was kind of unsure what I was achieving in that moment for myself. But what I know now is that all of this is part of the journey. And if you are the kind of person who wants to grow your team and you want to be the key person to just take the photographs or to just be the creative director and let that be your sole role, being able to start up lean gets to give you an idea of what it's really like to communicate clearly, to provide good customer service, to be able to be mentally and physically and emotionally agile when you're really working with situations like this, where it really is a combination of time, effort, and money. So if we were to go overtime, that would mean that the client or whoever is responsible for the location will have to pay the additional hours. Now, if we were working with paid models, then their fee would increase by the hour as well. And then if we were working with makeup artists and let's say stylists, and the bigger the team is and the more overtime you go, then basically that's when budget really comes in and gets impacted. And so when I say that, this is a combination of time, effort, and money, it's really about the management of all of those 3 to make something come together. Guys, it is a wrap. It is such a wrap. Let me give you a time check. It is currently 4:27 p.m, so we're a bit over time. There were some things from the shot list that we had to cancel, but the good news is, you know what I said earlier? That we covered ourselves the very first thing by shooting everything. Today it's like we had 4 seasons in one day. This came off, wait, there are guinea fowls, there are ducks, geese, and animals by the pool. And the good news is, this food, which we felt so bad for throwing away, is actually going to get put to good use because the farm animals will eat them. That is a very heavy bag of food. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do.